Welcome to Ultimate Playlist. I'm Matt. That's Briggs. And this is a show where Briggs and I get together to choose the top 10 songs around a theme to create its ultimate playlist, each one of us contributing our top 5. And today's theme is the Ultimate 1980 Hot 100 playlist. So maybe we should just explain this, Briggs.
Sure. These are the year-end best tracks of 1980 according to the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
That's right. Yes. So Hot 100 is album sales. And so this would be the most sales over the course of the entire year. So a number of these songs that are on this list, the year-end list, many of them could have been number one or way high up in the chart. But maybe they didn't sell as much as a lot of others and still were like way down on this list, but they still could have been like a hit for a little while. So you kind of get the cream of the crop, the best of the best is what I've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually a good list. It's seems like it's a pretty good summation of what happened throughout the year.
Yes, indeed. I noticed some things about it, but we can talk about that as we go through.
Sure.
Should we start with your number 5?
Let's do it. My number 5 is Funky Town by Lips Inc.
Do that guitar comp all day and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, everyone loves this song. It's pretty great.
So good.
Bad band name, good song.
Yeah, Lips Inc.
Inc. I mean, it's a pun, right?
It is a pun, yes.
Lip Sync. It's really stupid. And their album was called Mouth to Mouth, which is another bad pun. So 2 for 2.
Jeez.
Lips Inc.
That's terrible.
But yeah, Funky Town, mega hit, worldwide hit. It was number 1 in 28 countries, I saw.
Wow.
So yeah. Obviously, it's their most successful, most famous signature song.
Yeah.
Sold over like 8 million copies worldwide. And this made it to the number 8 spot on the year-end Hot 100.
Not as high as I thought. I guess I would have guessed a number 1 hit for Lip Sync, but apparently
Well, it was a number 1 like throughout the year, but on the year-end chart that we were talking
number
about,
8.
It was number 8.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, because there's some big songs. This is a big song, but there's some other huge songs that happened this year. It makes sense that this was international. There aren't a lot of lyrics. You know, it's like everybody can sing along with Won't You Take Me to Funky Town?
And then it's got the crazy vocoder part on the vocals and the last time through, which I really like.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember this. There was a Chuck E. Cheese in, where was I at the time? Either Manchester or in like somewhere in Massachusetts. I can't remember how young I was. But they had the Automaton like Chuck E. Cheese band.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And this was one of the songs that they did.
Nice. Yeah, it's a classic.
That's this one. They also did She's Got Eggs Instead of Legs by ZZ Top, which was
of course
a very odd, it's a very odd retelling of that song.
Yeah, interesting. Weird Al could have done that one.
Oh, totally. Yeah. They weren't a very good band. So anything else with Lip Sync, or should we move on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's kind of it. They're basically like a one-hit wonder, I would say.
Yeah, they definitely were.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, my number 5 is Take the Long Way Home by Supertramp.
You're the joke of the neighborhood. Why should you care if you're feeling good? Well, take the long way home. Take the long way home. There are times that you feel you're part of the scenery. All the greenery is coming down, boy. And then your wife seems to think you're part of.
It's a good one. This was on my short list.
Yeah. I had a hard time. My list changed like throughout the morning as I was making it. I'm like, oh no, this has definitely got to be on it. Shit. And then it would just keep. So I have this like long honorable mention list, which I can't even name. There's probably 20 on my honorable mention list. But this snuck into my number 5. I really like Supertramp. They're just such an original sounding band. Like there's not anybody quite like them. And they had like a surprisingly really good career. This is their 6th album.
Wow.
It's Breakfast in America. The album hit number 1. The song hit number 10. That was the highest it charted. But his 6th album had the Logical Song, which is a great one. Goodbye Stranger, another great one. Won a Grammy for engineering, and they sold 20 million copies.
Of the album?
Of this album.
Wow. That's huge.
That's huge. Yeah, I never would have guessed that they were that big.
I didn't think it was that big. No. I mean, I know this song, of course, but
yeah,
I didn't think it was that huge.
Yeah, they had a really great career. So their Supertramp is like, it's primarily two songwriters. This is guy Rick Davies, who's more of a blues guy, and Roger Hodgson, more of a pop guy. Hodgson's the high voice. So Davies is the guy who does "Goodbye Stranger," like the verse of "Goodbye Stranger." You hear Hodgson in the chorus. They formed in 1970 and they had money backing. Davies was backed by this like Dutch millionaire who was in this other band, but thought he was stifled and was going to pull his support. And so, but said to Davies, hey, if you go off and do your own thing, pick your own musicians, I'll continue to support you. And so he surrounded himself, grabbed Hodgson. They kind of hit it off. But then they they had a huge like turnover in other musicians for a while. It was the two of them primarily, and they didn't really like kind of cross the border. They released a few albums, but they didn't really get any sort of acclaim or fame until 1974 when they broke through with their song "Crime of the Century," which has got "Bloody Well Right" on it and "Dreamer," both good songs. So, anyway, I've always just I saw there's some great footage of Supertramp live. They sound really good live. This album sounds amazing. Just very talented, unique writers. So that's my number 5.
Good harmonica solo too.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
All right.
Number 4 for you?
Yeah, my number 4 is "Upside Down" by Diana Ross.
I said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out. And
Such an awesome song.
Yeah, it's really good.
So awesome.
I always liked it, and I always dug the beat. I didn't really know anything about it other than it was Diana Ross. But of course, once you hear that it was written by Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards from Chic, you're like, of course. And that's why the guitar is so awesome. That's why the bass is awesome. Yeah, the whole album was great. This was a huge album for her. This is from her album Diana.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a comeback, or not really a comeback, but she was trying to revitalize her career. So she worked with those guys. They hadn't really worked with anyone as big name as her before, so they were trying to do it serious, so they sat down with her, hung out with her, talked to her, tried to see what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she said she wanted to turn her career upside down and wanted to have fun again. So
wow.
I mean, it's a little on the nose, but they wrote 2 songs, both hits, right?
Yeah.
So, and this album also has "I'm Coming Out."
Yeah, great one.
Just a huge album. Platinum album, spend a year on the charts, that kind of thing. And it just rocks. I like the beat. It's really good.
Beat's
and
so good.
I like Diana Ross. I think
she's amazing.
Great.
What a career for her, from the Supremes all the way through, 1980. So the Supremes, I don't know when they started, but early to mid 60s. Yeah. And so now we're 15, 20 years later, and she's still crushing it. She's so good here. This song is amazing. This is one of them that was 5, on and off. And I was like, I hate myself for taking this song out of my top 5 because it's so good.
It's really good.
I love how strong that beat 1 is, 1 and 2. Yep. It's they're really in
That's
the front.
The funk.
The front half of that measure, and it's just such a cool thing. It almost turns me around in my head in terms of counting it. So I love that because it just makes it so juicy. But
apparently she didn't like it when they first gave her the tracks. It was too focused on the funk and the instrumental parts.
Yeah.
So she took it and remixed it and apparently re-recorded all her vocals, and Nile and they were upset about it, and they almost took their names off the album. But ultimately they left it because it still sounds like the Chic beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
Very distinctive, and pretty damn good.
Real good.
And I think it was the right choice for Diana Ross to do it because then her vocals were more up front. She was saying so.
Yes.
Which is, what it's supposed to be is Diana Ross.
It's Diana Ross. Yeah, she's a diva. She needs to be out. It's not
absolutely
the backing band with Diana Ross. That's not
no.
This is.
Those guys wrote all the songs on this album. So
that's amazing. One thing I was thinking of when listening to it is "I'm Coming Out." I feel has been used in a number of different, for a number of different rap tunes and samples. But I don't.
It's been sampled. But
has
been
this
played
one?
all over.
I can't think of it. I can't think of anything like. And it's such
someone must have, right? I don't know.
That.
Maybe it didn't make it to like a big hit or something, but it must have been sampled.
It
before.
must have been. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out on whosampled.com. That's a great website.
Right.
Who sampled use
good.
it all the time. But I'm gonna have to check that out because if someone, it's a disservice if no one has sampled this for their own rap pleasures. Yeah, great one. I love the song so much.
It is good.
Shall we move on to my number 4?
Yeah.
Nice. It's Still Rockin' Roll to Me.
About a pair of pink sidewinders and a bright orange pair of pants. Well, you could really be a poor bumble, baby, if you just give it half a chance. Don't waste your money on a new set of speakers. You get more mileage from a cheap pair of sneakers. Next phase, new wave, dance craze. Anyway, it's still rock and roll to me.
Billy Joel.
That's a good one. Yeah, this is a good one. This is on my short list too, of course. I mean, this is a good tune.
Always loved it. Just always, forever have loved it. It's just another really cool, unique song that it's so sparse. You know, it just has like a very sparse kit. The picked muted or palm muted note on, I don't know, it sounds like kind of a strat or something. And just the either the keyboard hit or the guitar hit here and there. And like the cool turnaround change too, which is just like, so it's just like this odd enough. It's almost like almost circle of fifths. I haven't actually looked and seen what it is, but it's kind of, that's kind of what it is. It's like,
it's got a lot of motion to it.
Yeah. But I just love this song. It's so good. And he wrote it in response to critics calling him adult contemporary. So he must have had like the same hatred for adult contemporary music as I do. And he was like, all right, well, he was basically criticizing the music industry, writing what he thought was just a rehashing of all these old styles, like the new wave stuff. He thought was just like power pop, rehash of stuff that happened decades before. And to him, it sounds different to us, I think, because we know the cream of the crop of the new wave stuff. But to him, it's like all these bands sound the same. They all use the same instrumentation. They're all 2.5 minutes long. What's different about it? What's unique about it? So that's why he wrote this song.
Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, that's how pop music works anyways. It's always just kind of a
rehash or reimagine.
Recycling. Yeah, reimagining is better, I think.
Yeah. But this was, a number 1 hit. The album is Glass Houses. That was also a number 1 on the Hot 200. It's his 7th album, and it's a good one. It's got You May Be Right. I'm sick of that tune, but it's a good one.
That's a good one too, yeah.
There's Don't Ask Me Why, which I love that song too. Very McCartney-ish sound to it. Just love that song. And he sold 7 million copies. Just like the album prior to this was 52nd Street. That had Big Shot, Honesty. That also sold 7 million. So this was a nice little string for him of selling a ton of albums, and he won a Grammy for it. So just peak this and like another couple albums. When does he do The Stranger? I can't remember, but he does Stranger's before this. And then what's the one with all like the 50s and 60s music, like the Motown stuff, like Uptown Girl.
I'm not gonna remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the album, but that's like 2 albums ahead of this too. So this is like really, he crushed it for like 8 years in a row. He sold a bunch of albums. But anyway, kind of peak. Different Billy Joel, but kind of peak Billy Joel to me.
Yeah, totally. Good one.
Thank you. Your number 3.
Sure. My number 3 is Brass in Pocket by The Pretenders.
Got brass in pocket, gunpowder, I'm gonna use it. Intention of feeling mental, gonna make you notice. Got motion,
Nice.
just to the motion.
Yeah, I like The Pretenders. This is a good one. This first album by them, self-titled, is really great. Awesome guitar playing. The guitar player, James Honeyman Scott, unfortunately died young. I know, too bad. But he's really pretty influential to a lot of people, including like Johnny Marr, from the Smiths. But this is a really good tune. I think it's frequently misunderstood. What Chrissy Hynde says is the song's about, the cockiness that one needs to effectively perform on a stage in front of people, And if you listen to it from that perspective, that makes a lot of sense.
Because the name, I guess whatever. The phrase would be like brass balls. So is that?
No, brass in pocket apparently is like, it means like you got money.
Oh, okay.
In England, it's like a slang term, and she overheard it at dinner. Someone was saying like, "Hey, did you pick up the dry cleaning? You got any brass in pocket?" or something like that. And I mean, it's just a cool turn of phrase.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, I guess you can kind of spin it to mean whatever you want. But yeah, that's what the song is about. Is about confidence.
That's a cool one.
And exuding that confidence. Yeah, it's a cool tune. I always like Pretenders, and Chrissy Hynde is awesome. She's always good.
I sort of miss them. I think I know this song, and then is it what's their other famous one? Is it famous one? Is it
There's a few off of this album. Probably not their biggest hits though.
Because the Night, is that not them? Is that Patti Smith? I think I'm mistaking them. Or
I think
because the night
yeah.
belongs to lovers, because the night belongs to us. That's not her.
No.
I miss the Pretenders. I don't know why. Like I know this song, but for some reason I never really listened to their albums. But yeah.
Listen to this first album. It's really good.
Yeah, the guitar player sounds like he's fingerpicking too.
Yeah, he might be. I'm not sure. He might just be doing kind of like arpeggiated with a pick.
He could be.
But I don't know.
It sounds like the pull, like
the Night is Patti Smith, by the way.
Oh, Patti Smith. Yeah, right. Yeah, a good song though. This was on my honorable mention list, which I mentioned before the show has got like 25 tunes because all the songs are so amazing.
It's a lot of good tunes in 1980.
Yeah, it's crazy like how, I'll just say this now, I guess, why not? But how diverse the music is. Like when you listen to stuff it's
all over the place.
It's all over the place. You even have Herb Alpert has a number one hit with Rise Up.
Yeah.
And it's a completely instrumental tune.
Well, that song became famous later on for Biggie Smalls sample,
Hypnotize.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because in the song, I listened to the song today, didn't know that, and then I heard, and
it
out
goes
of nowhere,
into the break.
You got the that noise thing, and you're like, what the Biggie?
Yeah, and then you're like, oh my god, this is the sample. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I might be wrong, but because I was kind of flipping through and listening to stuff today, but they might only play that thing once.
That part, yeah, it just happens in the middle of the song. I'm pretty sure.
Like once, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
So out of nowhere. But anyway,
a good sample though.
So diverse. There's a bunch of yacht rock. There's, a
lot of yacht rock.
There's disco inspired stuff. We're at the tail end of disco, but like that's still kind of pervasive. Just a bunch of different stuff.
A lot of old timers on there, a lot of country.
Kenny Rogers. A ton of country.
He had a couple. Yep.
I think he had 3. He had Coward of the Country, which hit number 3, by the way. Don't Fall in Love with Kim Carnes. He had You Decorated My Life, which was number 7. And then you also had Eddie Rabbit Driving My Life Away, too.
Yeah,
like a bunch of country. There's
crazy. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, old school rock. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, some old people like Paul McCartney's on there.
Yeah, that's right.
Solo.
That Paul McCartney song, I didn't know.
It's a cool tune.
What the heck is that called? I wrote it down here.
Coming Up,
right? That hit number 7, and for the year, and it was a number 1 hit. And for me to have no recollection.
Had you never heard it before?
Maybe, but not to my knowledge. Like you think this Paul McCartney tune that hit number 1 would have some staying power because
totally.
All the like the
Wings songs.
Maybe I'm amazed
remember.
or like whatever. That was all over the radio, like rock radio when we were kids. So, but this, I don't think this was. So I don't know why I didn't ever hear it. There's a few I never knew existed. There's Casey and the Sunshine Band had like 3 hits here. One was,
they had a good year.
One was Please Don't Go, which I've never heard that one.
Yeah, a lot of these songs I had never heard.
Their other 2, Get Down Tonight and Shake Your Booty. Of course I knew, but this third one I was like, what the heck? Elton John's Little Genie. Like I vaguely, like I had this little inkling of a memory about this song, and I'm not a gigantic, but I'm a pretty big Elton John guy, and so it's weird that there's it was a number 3 hit for him.
Right.
It's weird that existed, and it's like hasn't been overplayed, and I've heard it a million times, like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road or something,
right,
or Honky Cat, which I love that. I love that song.
Honky Cat's good.
Anyway, like a ton of diverse stuff, and also some like obscure ones that hit really high in the charts. So. Anyway, so that was what was that?
That was my number 3.
So we are on to my number 3, I think.
Correct.
That's how that goes. It's Ride Like the Wind by the great Christopher Cross.
I was born the son of a lawless man. I was broke my mind with a gun in my hand. Lived out
Crisscross, so good.
Good one. Yeah, Crisscross, the original Crisscross.
The original.
Yeah, this is a good song.
I love it.
Talked about this before. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's pretty great. What more can you say? Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald. And he wasn't originally supposed to do that, but
really?
So Christopher Cross went in with his musicians and recorded this song. And he was doing the callback himself.
Oh, okay.
And his producer was like, wait a minute, why don't we try? I think it would make more sense if we found someone else. I got this guy, Michael McDonald. Let's bring him in. I mean, anytime someone suggests Michael McDonald can come and sing on my song, I'm going to let it happen, no matter what
The
it
answer
is.
is yes.
The answer is yes. And he's just so silky in the callback. It's such a pleasure to hear him there.
Absolutely. I don't know what it is about him, but whenever you hear him sing, you're like, yep, this is awesome.
It's the thickest voice. He has such a thick voice. It's so hard to, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's amazing.
Totally. And his personality and persona comes through. Like if you've seen a picture of him singing or whatever, you know what doing this.
He could be a Muppet. Like you could turn him into a Muppet and he would look right.
He could be one of the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics.
Yes, he could. But so I love it. Like, this is we talked about sailing in our first episode, the Yacht Rock episode, I believe. And I'm sure we touched on this song and this album.
Yeah.
But like this album was huge and it was out of nowhere. And it really showcases Christopher Cross's writing ability. He's an amazing writer and arranger. He's a great guitar player. He does the solo at the end of the song.
Yeah.
Got a great voice that's captured amazingly on this album. They record this thing holds up. Like it sounds great. It was the first major record, as far as I can tell, recorded on a digital recording station. So it was 3M's. Can't remember what it was. 3M's like digital audio recorder or something is what it was called. But it just sounds. No, it was AKG. No, wait. His mic is the AKG 414. That's what I use. And he recorded first digital recording on a 3M digital recording system. That's what it's called. So. It still has to be a tape, like an ADAT or something, but I don't know. But it's digital.
Yeah, I don't
somehow.
know anything about that thing.
I don't either. But I'm just thinking, like, because we would use ADATs when we were in college, right? Or
and that was on like a VHS tape. Right?
Yeah, but you could punch in, you could punch out. Yeah. You can you could record over stuff, and there would be. I don't know how it worked, but anyway, this was the first one. Album won 5 Grammys. Album and record of the year. Sold 6 million copies. And just apparently like the industry pros really liked it and session musicians really liked it and like the musical community really liked it, but the critics were kind of down on it because it's just so sincere. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. But, and maybe that's what kind of happened for his next albums. Like the next album, he had a few hits. He had Arthur's Song and, I can't remember what the other one is, but it's not Never Be the Same. I can't remember. Another hit off that, but then it only didn't sell 1 million copies. And then by the third album, nothing was selling, and he was like kicked off his record label. So just like this bright, shining moment for Christopher Cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, those two songs both endure,
Oh, yeah.
in the yacht rock genre and beyond.
Definitely. Yeah. It's great. The whole album is really good. It's very well made, and it sounds great. Yeah. So if you guys can handle the yacht rockish or the sincere, musician,
the earnestness. Yeah.
if you can just get past that, then you'll be treated
or embrace it.
That's what I do. All right. Shall we move on to your number 2?
Sure. My number 2 is Rock With You by Michael Jackson. This great song off of a great album. This is on Off the Wall, which was the first Quincy Jones produced Michael Jackson album. So you can't go wrong with Quincy Jones. That guy's the best.
He's awesome.
Amazing taste, arranging, producing, whatever. He's awesome. I love Quincy Jones.
Me too.
He's great. And this song is good. This one was written by Rod Temperton, who wrote a bunch of MJ hits, Thriller, and Off the Wall, a couple other ones.
He also he wrote Give Me the Night, George Benson song that was also on this list.
Yep. That's on this list. I saw that.
Yeah, it was a great song too. He wrote that one.
Yep. So it's, I think, MJ's third number 1 hit.
It had been a while. His last one was 7 years prior, a song named Ben.
Was that Ben? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, he's only 20 on Off the Wall. So his last one was when he was 13 years old.
Yeah, totally.
Isn't it crazy that Off the Wall is his fifth album? His fifth solo album? And he only does five more after this.
Uh-huh.
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
But this Off the Wall album, this is the one that kind of vaulted him into worldwide superstardom. And then, which persisted till his death.
Yeah.
But yeah, also considered one of the last hits of the disco era. Notably.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And featuring the man, Greg Fillinganes on keyboards. That guy's so awesome.
It's awesome.
Do you know him at all? You look at his career. The guy is sick.
Besides Michael Jackson, what else did he do?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, so much stuff. Like he's the session guy extraordinaire. He's played with pretty much everyone live. He was in Toto for a while.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He's just one of those guys. He was like the musical director for the Grammys multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
He's done it all.
Yeah.
He's like the go-to guy that you call on. And he's sick.
He is sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his first album since his first solo album since Forever Michael, which was 1975. And he's 16 in 1975, and his voice is starting to change from, boy soprano to tenor. And and you could start to see it there in Forever Michael, like the change, the more adult sounding, the less like Rockin' Robin, kid sounding. He's definitely starting to grow up. And the elements are there, but it doesn't take off until Off the Wall, where he kind of really solidifies himself. And it makes sense. It's this time where he starts to break away from his dad's strong embrace. He still had to get permission from his father to do this, to do this album on his own. But you're right. He just he's fresh off The Wiz, which he worked on with Quincy Jones. Panned, but he was good in it, and he loved working with Quincy. Quincy loved working with Michael, and so they had a really great relationship going into Off the Wall and then Thriller, of course, and but he still had responsibilities to the Jackson 5. They did another 5 albums too, which ended in like 1984 or 5 or something,
right? Well, they did. They also did it was restylized as the Jacksons at one point too, right? Yeah, and then Michael was in and out of it too. I think
he wasn't he? Yeah, he had responsibility there because he was he was the money. But
totally.
But yeah, he was on all 5. He was writing. Some of their material as well. He was a really good writer. But they left Motown, and that's when they changed their name to the Jacksons. So I wonder. It could be that. I don't know, I don't know why, if it was the lineup change or maybe there's a name thing or trademark thing because of Motown.
Maybe Barry Gordy owned the name Jackson 5 or something.
Jesus, Barry. Please.
Who knows?
This is my number 1, which is why, I'd looked into it. So when we get to my number 1, we won't have to talk about it. But I love this song so much. It's
great.
It's great. And Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, which is the first single off this album, is amazing as well.
Yep.
Some people do say Off the Wall is like sneaky better than Thriller. I don't think that. I mean, Thriller's
they're both really good.
Really good. But Thriller's there's like 7 or 8 tunes and I'm like, these are amazing tunes.
There's like 7 or 8 number 1s on that album.
But like the Paul McCartney, like The Girl Is Mine, it's like, no. It's
a little cringy, I guess, but it's, whatever.
Yeah.
It is kind of dumb.
Yeah. But regardless, like 7 or 8 songs on there, I'm like, I love this song.
Pretty good, yeah.
Pretty Young Thing, and I love those so much. But this is just a great one. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sold 20 million copies, won a Grammy, and then for Thriller, he sold another 30 or 40 million copies. So another few year amazing run. He sold, what did he sell? Over 500 million.
Over 500 million is what I saw. Yeah.
I didn't look and see how many the Jackson 5 sold though. So.
I don't know if that number includes all of it, but.
I thought that was him as a solo artist.
Okay,
maybe
I would
not.
believe it, right?
Let me think. He did 10.
Both.
He did 10 albums. It's probably both because I don't think anything else outsold. Nothing else outsold Thriller, and I think that's like 30 or 40 million. So 10 albums at that average, you need 50 million per. So this probably includes his Jackson 5 stuff, I would imagine. But still, whatever it is, 500 million or more, it's just a astronomical number of units sold.
Yeah, especially these days. I mean, it's unreal.
Just unreal.
Everyone had that thing.
Yeah, so good. All right, so that's your number 2. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it. Your number 2 then. Right?
My number 2 is Misunderstanding by Genesis.
Must be some misunderstanding.
Good one. I had a feeling you would pick this one.
Yeah.
I know you're a big Genesis head.
Totally.
This is a good song. This was the only single off of this album, right? Duke, is this off of Duke?
Let's see. Okay, this is Duke from 1980, of course. And did they have anything else on it? Turn It On Again and Behind the Lines are this album. And I don't know if they charted though. This might be the only one that charted. This is definitely like a peak, starting to be a peak writing period for Phil Collins himself. I mean,
totally.
Genesis kind of prided themselves on writing stuff together, but Phil was definitely bringing a lot to the table now because he just did Face Value too. So between those, he was contributing a lot of music.
I mean, to me, this sounds like a Phil Collins song rather than a Genesis song, you know?
Yeah. Phil actually wrote it and didn't end up. I think he actually asked the band, was like, hey, I got maybe too many songs for Face Value. What do you want? And they were like, oh, this sounds like a great one.
Good one. Yeah.
And then also, I think Please Don't Ask is another one that was a one that he didn't include on Face Value that he brought over. Later on, members of the band were like, we should have taken In the Air Tonight.
Yeah, right.
But whatever. You live, you learn.
I mean, it probably wouldn't have been as good if Genesis did it as the full band, you know?
No.
Because there's something about that performance
so
and that recording of it, you know?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have had the same impact when the drums kick in if there was, they were jamming the whole time.
Yeah, wouldn't have the same power.
Yeah.
So Phil says that he modeled this after Hot Fun in the Summertime, the Sly and the Family Stones tune, which I love that song. Are you familiar with it? You know it, right? Hot Fun in the Summertime.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
So
totally.
good. Such a great song. That and then also Hold the Line, he said, was an influence.
Oh, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah, because of the triple.
And Sail on Sailor by the Beach Boys. Right?
That one too, yeah. Which I listened to again today. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. We talked about
that's a good tune. That's kind of a late period Beach Boys tune.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but it's got that. It has the triple, the fast
the
triplet.
rolling. Yeah, kind of whatever 12, 8,
12/8 probably.
12,
yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. But this is their Genesis 10th album. I'm a big Genesis guy until the super later stuff. Like you lose me at We Can't Dance.
I Can't Dance. Yeah,
or I Can't Dance.
Yeah,
it's like
none of them can dance.
Starting to
they
get
can't write
weird.
songs by that point either. That song's not great.
Yeah, but Invisible Touch is amazing. So everything up through like Invisible Touch, I'm into. Because there's a number of great stuff. Even though they changed a lot from their prog roots.
Well, they became a pop band.
They really did. But there was still, like, through Abacab, there was a lot of, like, the prog elements, too.
Sure.
A lot of, like, weird time signature stuff and interesting phrases. And it's amazing that Phil can pull that off and be such a great, like, pop writer, but he just can. He's just a special talent.
He's got it. He's got the sauce.
But this, they were just on tour. There was a 2-year hiatus between 1978 and 80 because Phil Collins' wife, Andrea, I don't know how to pronounce it, basically gave him an ultimatum, like, you're not around enough. And if you go back out on tour, we're done.
We're done.
So he moved with her to Vancouver and didn't end up working out, of course. So, but it just spurred a bunch of writing for him. A lot of face values about his marriage and his decline of his marriage and his next album as well. So a lot of that is here as well. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, Abacab is after this, and then they do, which has got No Reply at All, Man on the Corner, just a lot of good songs to come here with Genesis. But yeah, that's my numero 2.
Cool. All right, shall we go to my number 1 then?
Cream of the crop.
Yeah, it is Cars by Gary Newman.
Yeah, just an amazing song.
I really like him. This whole album is excellent. The Pleasure Principle. If you never listen to that, it's front to back. It's great. There's no bad songs on it. Although Gary Newman said about this song, he considers it to be a pretty average song. I guess he self-consciously tried to write a pop hooky tune that would be successful.
Worked.
Because his previous band, the Tubeway Army, which sounds a lot like Gary Newman's solo. It's just a little more punk rocky. They had a couple albums. They had a bunch of hits in the UK. Our Friends Electric, that was a popular song by them. I mean, remember it. If you know, you know. But this was his first solo effort as Gary Newman. Yeah. And, you know, he wanted to write a hit single, and he did. Which is weird because the whole back half of the song is instrumental. Like the words stop like halfway through. There's no chorus. The hook is the synth part. Yeah, you know, it's just a weird song.
It goes into like some German like sprockets thing, like you would see on Saturday Night Live from the '90s or something. So it reminds me of the back half,
right? Yeah, I mean, it's just instrumental, and they're not really jamming. They're just playing the parts over and over again. I like it.
It's great,
but I like synths. Yeah, I mean, it's got the mini Moog and the poly Moog with like a real rhythm section. Yeah, and it's got Gary Newman's weird voice and aesthetic and personality. They describe him as an androgynous alien.
Yeah, he kind of looks like
his persona.
He kind of looks like a vampire in his video.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Dark hair and the pale.
He looks unhealthy.
He does.
Notably, the video for Cars. There's no cars in it.
Yes, true. He's such a weird guy.
Yeah.
Critically acclaimed. Like I know a number of people point to him as an influence. I think he's done a lot
Nails.
Yeah, right. I think he's done a lot of like writing with other people too, and also known as like an experimenter as well. Like he would go to cutting edge synth stuff, like and just and mess with it and create out of it. Just a very creative, nerdy guy.
Super influential. I mean, like. Tears for Fears, Kim Wilde, Kids in America, you know, all these kind of things, influenced by him. He's still around. He continuously has put out music, and he tours. He's just on tour now with like Ministry, I think. He's got to be pretty old at this point, but
I would
still
imagine.
doing it. Yeah,
he's got to be like in his 70s, I would imagine.
It's got to be up there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's probably, I would imagine he was something like 30 in 1980.
In his 20s, maybe. Yeah, how old is he here? He's 66, not that old.
Oh, wow, he was young then. He was a young androgynous alien.
Yeah. So I guess, he's born in 58, so that puts him at like 20, 22 when he wrote this.
Wow.
When it came out. Yeah.
Wow, that is young. I did not know that. That's crazy. That's shocking to me that he was that young when he wrote this thing. It's very experimental and weird.
Totally. This whole album has got a really cool vibe and lots of Moog synths. But all of his music is pretty good. Like he's got some hits and misses. There's some albums that aren't as good as this one. This one, front to back, is all great songs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Gary
great.
Newman.
Gary Newman. So my number one was Michael Jackson.
MJ.
So we don't have to talk about that, but maybe we can talk about. All these songs are so good.
There's a lot of ones. Yeah.
But maybe I can talk about. I want to name a couple. I want to talk about Lionel Richie though here for a second.
Oh, okay.
Do you know the song "Still"? It's a Commodores tune, and it's one of their last hits, and it's on this list, and it's this beautiful ballad. It's such an amazing song. I almost put it on in my top 5 because it's an amazing performance. Yeah. That is Lionel Richie in his most restrained. Like how in a lot of ballads you'll at some point you like Bridge Over the Covered Water. Like that last verse, is huge and Art just opens up and he's like way up in his range. Right. It's like this is a simmer that burns all the way through for Lionel Richie. Nice. And I wonder if that had an effect on him because to sing like that, Rufus Wainwright does that type of stuff too. And I'll sing his songs and after it's done, I'll feel unfulfilled because as a singer at some point,
you never got to go for it.
I want to
emote.
But I wonder if Lionel Richie felt that way because I was like, wow, what does this sound like? I forgot about the song Still. And I'm like, I think of another song with this one. Later on, he does, what does he do? He does Truly in 1982. Truly, that one. Yeah. And it's a very, very similar song, except in the end, he belts it out. He
goes for it.
And they're so similar, those two songs. I was wondering if he just felt unfulfilled and like, I got to write one.
He had to do one more. Yeah.
Do one more, but just, do it my way. But anyway, that's a great one. Yeah. I almost had Against the Wind. Seeger's on here a few times, but that's a great song. I'm not the biggest Bob Seger guy, but he's
me either.
But I can't deny
he's got some good songs,
talent, and the good songs. He's got such a great voice. Yeah. There was a couple Fleetwood Mac too. Sarah's a good one, and Tusk, both off the album Tusk. Call Me was number one. So Blondie.
Blondie. I love that song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, I skipped out on it for this list.
I skipped out on it too. But it is a great song. And
there's a bunch of big ones like Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. That's a good tune. Not my favorite Queen song, but it's pretty good.
Me neither.
We already talked about Ladies Night, Cool and the Gang. That's a fun song. Pop Music. I forgot about that song. Pop
that's
Music
such a weird
by
song.
M. I know. I like that. That's right up my alley. Tom Petty had two. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, excuse me.
Again,
Don't Do Me Like That and Refugee. Both awesome songs.
Both awesome
Tom
songs.
Petty's good.
And I was like, I almost put those on my list too, on my top 5. There was Steal Away by Robbie Dupree. Do you know that one? That's like a sneaky, really good song. Why don't we steal away? Why don't we steal her away?
Oh, yep.
Into
Okay, I
the
do remember
night.
that one.
But it almost has like a Michael McDonald like piano.
Yeah,
thing
totally.
to
It's
it.
very yacht. There was a lot of yacht rock adjacent songs on this list.
Yeah. Also, a strange thing that I saw too was Spotify has these as playlists.
Yeah, totally.
So I was just listening to it today.
Yep.
And I just caught, though, that there was one admission. It was that had all of them except the 99th tune. And that is Joe Walsh's All Night Long.
Interesting.
And then I looked for it, not on Spotify.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I'm like, why, though? I mean, it's a good
who owns it? His other tunes are on there, right? It's not. He didn't do like a Neil Young.
No, his other songs are on there. I found it on YouTube, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this song. It's a good song. But yeah, that wasn't on. Babe is a good song by Styx. I'm not the biggest Styx guy, but I like that song.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. What else?
I Want to Be Your Lover by Prince.
Oh, yes. Right. That was pretty low on the list.
That was way down there. It was in the 90s, I think.
I wonder if it's because he released it late in the year, and then in
could be.
81 it would have actually charted higher because that's a pretty well-known song. That was a hit. So
yeah. But that list was all over the place. Like there's some old timer, like Neil Diamond's on there.
I know. It wasn't September Morn, was it? Which one was
it? It
is September Morn.
September Morn.
And I had a hard time with that one too because I love Neil Diamond. but
he's got a lot of good songs.
So good, but I was just like not quite with that one. Not my favorite one. Just like
no, definitely not mine either.
It's kind of in that We're Coming to America time period. And I'm just
that song is pretty bad.
I'm a Shiloh guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. Any other one?
The Pina Colada song was on there. Yeah, I know, me too. But it's on there. That guy, wasn't it Rupert Holmes? He had 2 songs on that list. Yeah.
Yeah, what was I can't remember.
Captain and Tennille are on there.
Yeah, that's right.
Do That to Me One More Time.
I forgot that was them because you always think of Love Will Keep Us Together, but I forgot that one, and that was a huge one too.
Yep.
Jeez. Okay, I did make a hate list because I know you like it when I do that.
Is Air Supply on it?
I don't mind that song.
Air Supply yeah, it's fine. They had a couple on there on the list.
They did. Now it's escaping me which ones they were, but because it wasn't their big
Lost
one.
in Love.
That's right.
And what's the other one? Where is
Lost
it? I can't find it.
in Love and I don't. That doesn't even sound like them to me. That sounds like a little weird. That sounds like almost like a different singer. Oh, This Is It, the Kenny Loggins song too. That made my honorable mention. Love that song.
All Out of Love is the other one.
I'm all out of that. So that was their big year then. That was their big one. And that one sounds different to me. Those two sound like different singers, but okay, so let's see. Yeah,
your hate list.
Pina Colada was on my hate list. And then the other one, which I have this thing where sometimes I hate something so much that I eventually get drawn to it and then I love it. And it's a very weird thing. I think it's a psychological flaw.
I'm just going to go with it.
but the prime example for me is Eye in the Sky. I am the eye in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at you.
Yep.
Hated that song forever. But now I love it. Like, I love that song. It's so well written. So the other one that's kind of like this, when I saw the title on the list, it immediately gave me cringe. But then I listened to it and I was like, I don't know. Maybe I hate it so much I like it. It's Magic by Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, yeah. That was high on the list, wasn't
we
it?
are magic. I can't remember exactly where it was. But
Number
it's like,
3, I think.
Oh, then that is way up there. But that's like one of those where it's just like it cringes me out. But then I don't. But 5 years from now, you might check back in with me and I might love it. So.
Okay.
Can never tell.
Yeah, that one's not for me.
I just was listening to it and I'm like, yeah, there's so much. It's the, I think it's the augmented fifth, like the sharp 5 thing that they do. Almost like the baby, hold on to me is I think it's that the augmented in there.
Okay.
And is a little bit woo doo doo. It just has that, it just gives you the kind of a creepy vibe. I don't know what it is. Yeah, but it's got a little bit of that in here. And it almost feels like, what was the David Bowie song from Labyrinth? Not I Saw My
Magic
Baby.
Dance?
That one's the famous one, but there's another one where it's this creepy one where he's in her head and it's very like spooky and weird. It's kind of that Magic song sort of. Oh, it might have been called something like Magic or Voodoo or something. No, Voodoo is You Remind Me of the Babe. I saw my baby crying hard as babe could cry. What could I do? I liked it. But there's like a Magic one that he does that's super creepy. And it kind of reminds me of this Magic song. But maybe, like I said, maybe I'll like it. It'll turn out that it'll be my jam.
Yeah, could be. Oh, one more that we didn't mention. Pink Floyd is on this list. Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2.
That's right. That
was number 2. That was number 2 on the year-end list.
Crazy, actually.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because is that off the wall? Not off the wall, but is that off the wall? It is, right?
Yeah, it's not off the wall.
Because I thought the wall was earlier than that.
1979.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. That's what happens. But
it just seems weird, right?
It does seem weird. And I don't know how many hits they had. I mean, they were super popular and famous, but I've never looked into how much like Floyd charted, but it'd be interesting to see some of their bigger, like Have a Cigar or like.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they sold a bunch of albums.
They did. Yeah. But I wonder how much they charted. Yeah. To see that there, I was like, oh, that seems a little bit out of place.
Totally. Yeah. It just seems weird. 1980 Pink Floyd is like high charting, you know?
Yeah.
But it does make sense. The timing is right. 80 is a weird year because it's not really, quote unquote, the 80s yet. You know?
Yeah. You're still.
Like the disco thing is still going on, but all the synth and the new wave stuff is starting to creep in. Yeah.
It was like late stage celebrity musicians that would turn to disco at this time period. You've got like the Streisand and Donna Summer, I think, who did Enough is Enough is Enough. I can't. So whenever you have Barbra Streisand, go into your music genre, it's probably jump the shark a little bit. We're on the other side. Although I say that, but Barbra Streisand has an amazing voice. I'm very impressed with her vocal skills back in the day, as much as I don't really love her as a artist, but she does have a phenomenal voice. So.
Yeah.
Yes. But even like Stones had Emotional Rescue was on this list too. So you're right. You had some like older rockers. You mentioned Kenny Rogers.
I'm never really surprised to see a Rolling Stones song on a list because those guys just kind of kept going. They were always doing something. Then they retired and come back and retire.
That's true.
Back.
Yeah. What did they have? They had Love Is Strong. Was that in the 2000s or was that still in the 90s? There was I remember the music video because you have Mick, like giant Mick, like almost like Godzillaing through New York or some sort of city. It was black and white. Love Is Strong. Yeah, I think I don't know if that might have been in the 90s. And
it was 94.
Okay, so all right, so 90s. So then Start Me Up would have been late 80s, I guess. A couple albums before that, maybe. Was Start Me Up? I think that was 80s.
81.
Oh, that's early too. Oh, okay. Oh.
It's off of Tattoo You.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Stones are kind of all throughout until basically through the 90s. And then they didn't really chart, I don't think, anymore. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with this list? I really liked doing it because all these songs I cool. like. Pretty much. Yeah. There are very few songs where I'm like, nah. Most of these I'm like, okay, these are pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fun to like look back, and I had a hard time choosing 5.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, as always, there's always good music.
That's true.
I'm sure some years are rougher than others, but this one had a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again in some other.
Yeah.
It would be cool. It would be a cool challenge to use some years that were maybe a little bit more sparse. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Well,
what's the worst year for popular music? We could figure it out.
Actually, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I can think of a few years that that might work.
Throw them out and we'll do them, Matt.
All right, I like it. Okay, cool. Then I guess we'll see everybody next time. For Briggs, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching and listening to Ultimate Playlist. Goodbye.